What are we going to first? The stuff that we've already seen before we traveled through time, or the stuff that we had to travel through time to look at?
Well, why don't we stay on the topic of defecation and talk about whatever you saw on Monday Night Raw this past week?
Ooh, boy.
There were a couple things I really liked.
Well, in 3 hours, almost statistically, it's almost impossible to fucking whiff everything in 3 hours. But therein lies the problem again, this program especially. Many of them these days are a slog, but Raw, 3 hours. You either got to sit through or fast forward through endless entrances, constant commercials, bullshit backstage brawls, somnambulistic soliloquies, and millennium-long monologues.
Wow.
To get to anything interesting, and that was more interesting than 2 hours and 40 minutes of Raw. The first segment was Logan Paul and Ricochet. They're going to face each other at SummerSlam. And by the way, I've now found out that Logan Paul will be on first with Ricochet at SummerSlam because he's then going to run right. Well, not run. I imagine he'll have a car, some type of wheeled transportation. To take him to the airport, he's going to get on a private plane and he's going to go to his brother's boxing match against Nate Diaz, which is happening. Where is SummerSlam's in Detroit? I think this is going on somewhere in Vegas or something.
Sounds like Vegas.
And because that fight is taking place the same night as SummerSlam, I got to watch the cock again. I can't get normal television pay-per-view here in Louisville, Kentucky of SummerSlam the way that God and Vince McMahon intended, if there is indeed a difference between those two entities, because of the boxing match.
There is.
Well, the boxing match, apparently Vince is losing his pull. I guess God won out. God picked the boxing match because now I got to watch the cock for SummerSlam instead of actually on a real fucking television.
How's that possible? Isn't there more than one pay-per-view station on every cable system?
Yeah, I can get it in Spanish.
Oh, well, that may be better.
There's a low def pay-per-view channel on Spectrum here in the metropolitan Louisville area. There's a low def pay-per-view channel and a high def pay-per-view channel. And then there's a low def pay-per-view channel in Spanish, and I'm not sure if there's a high def pay-per-view channel in Spanish, but the only one that is carrying SummerSlam is in Spanish.
Why don't you play that in high def and then blast the Peacock from the computer for that audio?
I'd like to blast a cock around here, but we'll continue on with this review.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any more details about
at least
blasting the cock.
I'm looking at you, Dick. Anyway, so Logan Paul and Ricochet were talking to each other about their virus match they're going to have at SummerSlam. Everything is going to be all kinds of viruses going on.
Viral.
Yeah. That's basically, they're going to have this thing in a fucking plastic bubble like the Seinfeld boy so they don't infect everybody. But the exact wording was Logan Paul said, we're going to put on a hell of a match. And the gist of this, then they're promoting it this way and they're talking about it this way, is that they're going to do a bunch of spectacular, cunning stunts. And it's gonna go viral. And Logan Paul will probably video them with his own camera phone while they're having this match or whatever. And then the only thing, they had just talked to each other about all this, and then Logan Paul told Ricochet that the girl ring announcer, what's her name?
Samantha Irvin.
Okay, well, I thought she was the one that was married to the crocodile hunter.
No.
What was her name?
Well, his name was Steve Irwin. I don't remember what her name was, his wife.
Well, she lived.
Yeah, she's still alive for all I know.
Yeah. Well, for all you know, for all everybody knows, she's doing quite well.
I don't know that. I don't keep up with the family of the crocodile hunter. I didn't even watch his show when he was alive.
It was a tragic story, though.
I'm going to fuck with all this shit under the water. Hopefully nothing. Oh, ooh.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, you remember the Yule Gibbons, the guy in the 70s, did the commercials for all the cereal because he ate plants and nuts and wild things, and he ended up dying of stomach cancer. And there was that fucking long distance marathon runner, wrote all those fucking books about his running and his health, and he had a heart attack while he was running. What was his name?
I don't know.
I'll come up with it sooner or later. Anyway, back to this thing. So they got into a fight when Logan Paul said that Ricochet is going to have his fiancée or financier, whichever one she is, the lady ring announcer, Steve Irwin, or the crocodile lady, or whoever her name is.
Samantha
Fox.
That's
Samantha
not her.
Fox. No? Samantha Stevens?
Do you know a Samantha after 1986?
No. So anyway, she's going to have to announce him as the winner of the match over Ricochet. And that was the point where Ricochet, I've had all I can stands, I can't stands no more. And he just tackled him, and they got into a fight for about 10 seconds that turned into sloppy parkour. And it ended up with Logan Paul knocking him out. And he took a selfie of himself standing over Ricochet. So the same punch that they were trying to sell could knock out Roman Reigns here several months ago, it did spell the end for Ricochet in this situation. And Johnny Quest on Saturday mornings in the 60s made me more nervous for somebody's safety than anything going on here. They're promoting that they're going to have a match where they do a bunch of stupid stunts in cooperation with each other. Your thoughts?
I didn't have as big a problem with it as you did. I think Logan Paul is great on the mic, although I agree with you. Some of the choice of words, he's an outsider, and no one has said to him, don't. I mean, in WWE, who's going to say, don't talk about this like it's a performance? That's all they want people to talk about it like.
Well, I love Logan Paul. If he's wrestling Roman Reigns or he's in whoever the fuck he's had, instead of just an undercard babyface that he likes to work with because they can do cool parkour with each other.
Again, like I said before, who else is he going to beat right now?
Andre the Giant against Jose Estrada in a fucking, I don't know.
Not unless he was tagging up with Steve King and Frankie Williams, and then maybe it'd be slightly almost even.
Conquistadors. Okay.
But, no, I mean, Logan Paul's really good here, and we'll see how this, again, they're opening it up. If you are wrestling someone and they're leaving right away afterwards to go do something else, you happy for them or do you potato them?
So he can show up with a black eye?
He's expecting, okay, I'll wrestle and I'll be fine. I'll just jump on a plane and head right to Vegas. Not, I'll have a broken leg. What will I do?
Well, he has, that is a close double booking there. Not a lot of room for error. Ric Flair worked twice in one night in 1986 on a Wednesday night in defending the NWA World Title in both Raleigh, North Carolina at the Dorton Arena, and I forget the exact town, but somewhere in the state of Florida for championship wrestling from Florida. And it was at least as far as Tampa, if not further down.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday night. Somehow they had put the publicity out on both of them, and he was double booked, and he said, fuck it, I'll do it. And they put him on second match in Raleigh, so he went in the ring at 20 after 8 and got out at 8:45, was at the Raleigh airport by 9:15. The private plane took off by fucking 9:30, 9:45. He flew a little over an hour. They stalled like fucking Florida, and he was in the ring to defend the belt before 11 o'clock in that town.
He was at the bar by 1?
Yeah.
Was at the hotel by 4?
And back to the Carolinas the next day to pick up the regular schedule.
Amazing.
Anyhow, so then the next match was Kaiser Wilhelm beat Matt Riddle cleaner than a daggum tooth. Cleaner than a speckled pup. I don't know. I'm so frazzled I can't form a cogent simile.
Cleaner than a tooth. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a saying I've heard before.
Yeah. Well, you'll probably hear it again if you keep me on this fucking recording any longer.
What does that tell you? I mean, Riddle came back after his sabbatical, and they put him right into the main stuff on Raw. He was with Sammy and Owens doing stuff with the Bloodline at that point, and now he's losing clean to Wilhelm. What do you think?
Well, no, it's part of. I think they may be recognizing that they have a lot of faith, confidence, time invested in Gunther, and they have made his right-hand man, and I guess the other guy, what's Leonardo da Vinci, or whichever one, he was hurt last time I fucking heard.
The other guy just stands there and says nothing.
Well, but he's been hurt. I don't know, possibly it was a head injury that turned him into a mute. I have no fucking clue, but with Kaiser here,
my German mute friend here agrees with me.
German, he will now make obnoxious gestures in your general direction. But what I'm trying to say to you is it may have registered with them what we've been talking about, the words that have been coming out of our mouths, that they've made Gunther's, both of his flunkies. One is apparently, as we now know, a fucking mute, and the other one gets whipped like a fucking egg every time you see him. And so they're doing something to put a little more heat on the group and maybe make this guy a little more credible, is what I was thinking, hopefully. Being optimistic about this program, what I'm saying.
Is the one who's mute the one who used to be Marcel Marceau in NXT?
It might, yes. I think in NXT he was Marcel Marceau, and then he changed his name to Leonardo da Vinci.
And now he's mute.
And now apparently I have to keep him from changing his name again, because his fucking track record is not too good. Anyway, so that was that. There's nothing wrong with Kaiser's work. As I've said, and he's got a interesting, obnoxious, arrogant, like a Nazi fucking lieutenant in the goddamn World War II movie air. You can see him with the monocle and the fucking hat, but he never gets anything done. So hopefully they're changing that. Speaking of not getting anything done, did you love the confrontation between Model Girl and Valhalla?
I didn't watch this, although I watched the match, at least the end of it. And I only did because we have started hearing from people who say, we know why you guys fast forward past it, but for whatever reason, they're actually starting to get this over with the crowd. So I wanted to see a little bit of what the crowd reactions really were like for them.
Well, I don't know if it's this that they're getting over with the crowd, or whether, I think it's Gable and potentially the things that is going on around him right now, because there was a big difference in the presentation and the execution. This match should have been executed. It should have gone straight past jury trial into no. Judge says case is closed. Model Girl can't... the problem with these two, Model Girl looks great and works like shit, and Val looks like shit and works at least good, if not great. But the Model Girl is like a whooping crane or an ostrich they've tried to teach wrestling moves with the long legs and did you see she has no
a whooping crane?
Yes, with the fucking there is no athleticism whatsoever, even when she's diving. She's the only person I've ever seen who could do a low crossbody from when she dives, she's far closer to the ground than when she was standing on the ground. And it's the long arms and she's green as grass, and I don't know if she's ever going to get this. I mean, you saw that much, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then we got Valhalla, who is fucking looks like a goddamn disoriented fucking beaver that's been in an explosion in a dam. Jeez. With the whole gimmick that she's got on. And this looked like it looked like, again, the model is a cashier at Walgreens. They gave her a tape of a wrestling match and told her to figure it out. And Val can work. She's had some experience, so she's trying to move her around. But good Lord, After Model Girl, Jane Cargill now reminds me of Mildred Burke, is all I'm going to say about that thing. I will have better things to say about old Shoosh Boy later on.
Valhalla looks like she's ready to go to Burning Man. What kind of outfit is that?
It looks like somebody partially set her on fire there's black makeup, like it's soot. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, we were an hour into the show with those basic things having happened and some other clips of things. And then the Judgment Day. And I love the Judgment. I love Rhea Ripley. And I love Dominic's whole chicken shit thing. And Damian Priest is a badass. And well, there's Finn. But it's every week they come out and they just do, each one of them does a promo because they do ratings. Apparently, this was the highest rated segment of Raw this past Monday night for them to just come out and talk. But they come out and talk, and then they badmouth Raquel Rodriguez Gonzalez de Molina, and out she comes, and all three of the guys, Rhea Ripley's fucking, her boys, her group, what do the kids call them? Her posse, I don't know. This fucking mad woman comes out and tackles her, and all three of the guys just jump out of the ring and let Raquel beat the shit out of Rhea for a good little while.
Rhea told them to leave.
Did she?
Yeah, if you watch the beginning, she tells them to get out of the ring. She'll take care of it.
Oh, God. I don't know. You know, here's the thing. If some fucking giant woman with the lat spread or whatever of Raquel came after Suzanne, even if Suzanne told you, hey, I got this, and then that girl's just wailing away on her, would you stand there?
Well, no, that's a little bit different. That's not on camera. But I think it would have been cool, though, if like Dominic and Finn each got Raquel with one arm, because she's bigger than both of them, and then she just like slammed them together and went right back to Rhea. Then it would have been cool.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because she's bigger than everyone except Priest.
I agree. It would have been cool if she scoop slammed Dominic. That would help both of their gimmicks. I don't know if she needs to be throwing any two of them around, but anyway, Raquel wailed away on Rhea, and then Rhea clipped Raquel's leg, and then the officials showed up, and that was about 12 minutes for all that to happen. And the Judgment Day is over. They've got at least a group on Raw now to match, maybe not match, but to the Raw version of the Bloodline on SmackDown. People are interested in what's going on because Rhea's a star and Dominic has heat, and he's the darling chicken shit of the moment. And Priest is going to end up being they say, the sleeper out of the group in terms of he's going to be a top level guy here. If they don't consider him already, they will soon. But I get tired of them just coming out and talking until somebody comes out and gets in a fight with them every week.
You know, you say Rhea's a star. It's easy to miss the fact that you've been saying that since before everyone treated her that way. She is now the most over woman in the entire business.
Well, just who couldn't see that coming?
Well,
I mean, Gemini, it's not like I'm Nostradamus or anything. Even though I predicted this when she was still on NXT of 3 years ago, that she would be the biggest female star in the business and then graduate into movies, major motion pictures and sitcoms. Well, it was plain as the nose on everybody's face. I think everybody was just lying and trying to disagree with me. That's why they weren't saying it.
You know, a lot of this, and not just this, but a lot of things you see, like even with the Bloodline, it's so reminiscent of like the NWO at the peak of Nitro. You knew that like in the middle of the show, Hogan and every one of these flunkies, and you know, some other like Nash and Hall were main eventers, but you know, yeah. Bagwell and Virgil and everyone else, they were all going to come out there, and for 10 minutes they were going to talk in the ring, and it may not be anything new or anything exciting, but you're going to get to see them, and maybe it'll lead to something at the end of the show. That's what this is with the Judgment Day. They get them out there. They have the most over female in the business. Dominic started this trend of people just booing nonstop. And he started it because he's been fantastic in his role. Priest, unless something goes wrong, Priest is, you know, I think going to be in the main event somewhere soon. And, Balor they like to. And actually, I think Balor's been doing a pretty good job with this Rollins stuff, all things considered. He pointed out how ridiculous Rollins is. You're not crazy. You're pretending to be crazy, which is exactly right. But, it's like the NWO. They come out there and, like you said, they pop the rating. People want to see them. They're young. You got two of the youngest people in the business on the main roster in the same group. How about that? So, the Judgment Day are one of the hot things. We'll talk about it in a little while, but underneath everyone's nose it happened. Wrestling got hot again, and the Judgment Day are a big part of it.
Well, did wrestling get hot again, or did the WWE get hot again?
Very good point. We'll discuss.
Who else's crotch is on fire right now? Anyway, you belabored me on this because Ronda and Shayna, they did sit-down packages on their history from the UFC and the Ultimate Fighter to today. And it's normally the kind of thing that I like, and for the kind of people who like that kind. But in this case, I'm so past giving a shit that I was like, please, I want to get to fucking Gunther and Brock and Cody. Anything good. And you said this was the best thing they've done since Ronda's come back to the business.
This is the best thing they've done since her first run. It was the best video package they've done about Ronda. It was the best thing they've done with Shayna Baszler. It made you care about what's going on. It made you understand what the hell was going on. Talked about their history. I mean, you see Marina Shafir and I forget the other girl's name. In some of the photos, they're talking about their real history. How she was Ronda's sparring partner. Ronda would kick her ass every single day. And then her and her other friends got to live with Ronda. So Ronda could kick their ass every day. And it all led into this. They both cried in these videos. I hope there's a way we can get you to see it because and Ronda's leaving apparently. It was the best thing they've done with Ronda. It was incredible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're like a week away from her being done, and we suddenly see all this shit that would have hooked everybody had we had an inkling of all these things that they could reveal. Why did they wait till the last minute, I wonder?
Because I almost zoomed past it, and I said, let me stop and see. And they hooked me. It was almost like a UFC video more than a WWE video. It was great. It was great.
I'll check and see if one of the DVRs in the house has still got some of these elements on it. I don't want to, fill up my DVR with stuff I'm never going to watch again. And I'm so excited to get rid of these shows after I watch them. But nevertheless, this is where Imperium confronted Shoosh Boy and company, Fat Otis and Model Girl, and basically said that they didn't like them because they were turning the show into a joke. And that's why we all don't like them. And they belittled Chad. That's not a pun. And basically the challenge was laid out, or the statement was made, or whatever, that he can't last 5 minutes with Gunther. And so later on, that's what we're going to see is old Shoosh Boy get 5 minutes with Gunther. And so I was interested in that because it's Gunther. At this point, I'll watch Gunther eat a goddamn pot roast. I don't care because he's always good. But then, did you see Tommaso Ciampa?
You know what? I hate to say it. This was the match I fast forwarded through. And I like both guys, but there were so many other things on the show that actually meant something that I fast forwarded through.
Well, I didn't watch it either because I knew what was going to happen because they had Shaky Nakamura, this broken down senior citizen in a scuba diving suit, beat Tommaso Ciampa with a kind of a schoolboy and pulled the trunks. And because he's still mad at Bronson Reed. But again, love Ciampa. Wish we saw him and actually doing something every so often. But we finally got to Brock. And Brian, I want you to tell me what you think about this. It was an in-ring. Brock does his entrance, and he's going to do an in-ring promo, and he kind of started, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brock Lesnar, but without the overwhelming emotion and smarminess of Paul. And he gave his credentials, and it was kind of a matter-of-fact thing. I think he claimed to be the WWE champion, but UFC champion, NCAA champion, and there was a concept here. Maybe they told him, go out there and be matter-of-fact. Just say, this is my business. It's business with me. And this Saturday, I'm going to get paid to go out there and kick Cody Rhodes' ass. And this Saturday, Cody Rhodes gets paid to get his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar because it's business. But he was so matter-of-fact and kind of more monotone than normal. He wasn't that laughing, over-the-top hillbilly Brock, that the people whatted the fuck out of him. And I don't know if the whatting was working, even though he tried to. It was like he was giving them the opening. He'd say 3 or 4 words and stop so they could what, since they were doing it anyway, but I don't know if it was helping him out. It was an odd, but otherwise, he called Cody out, said, if you want to tell me otherwise, then I'm going to beat you, then come on out here and I'll respect that and shake your hand and see you Saturday. Or if you don't, I'm still going to see you Saturday. You got 5 seconds. And Cody's music was playing at 3. But what did you think of Brock's?
Other than the what chance, and to be honest, I don't know if there's anything that Brock would have come out there and done that they wouldn't have done it. Sometimes the crowd is just ready for that, and they're going to do it. I actually thought it was pretty effective. Him coming out there and saying, I'm Brock Lesnar. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. You got to be kidding me. I think that's actually effective as opposed to yelling.
Well, I know I didn't mean he didn't have to yell. I like the idea that he's coming out and listing his credentials and saying that it's, all business or whatever. But I thought that he geared it back to the point where he didn't really have a lot of expressions, and he just went with the stopping so they'd what? He just kind of went with it. He didn't have to be fucking foaming at the mouth. I would think he'd be more condescending, maybe, about just put some little emotion in there.
He was trying to lull, in his own way, Cody out for the handshake. And I have to be honest, that's the part I really had a problem with. The fact that Cody, after everything that's happened and getting beaten up in front of his mother, would even want to come out there and shake his hand.
Well, that's the thing. There we get to part 2, the second half. Because Cody came out and he walked around the ring and he's eyeballing him, like he would eyeball somebody that has broken his arm in attacks and jumped him from behind and done whatever. And he got in cautiously, stepped in carefully, didn't take his eyes off, he had the face-to-face, and then stuck his hand out for, like you said, to shake the guy's hand after he F5'd him in front of his mother. Okay. But they did the handshake. And then they did the close talking. And Cody whispered something in Brock's ear, and Brock gave him the shoulder and walked out of the ring. And that's when, as Brock has gotten out of the ring and he's walking away from the ring, Cody hits the far ropes, runs across, dives over, and fucking tackles the babyface, jumps the heel from behind, and turns around for it and gets his fucking ass kicked. Because that, as soon as the dive, boom, he got in him throwing some punches, and Brock just picked him up and drove him into the post and hit him with the stairs and hit him with the stairs again and went back and hit him with the stairs again. And then went to walk off a time or two, and he'd come back and fucking do something else. And then he threw him in the ring and F5'd him. So I don't know how I feel about the babyface jumping the heel from behind when he's walking away and then getting the shit kicked out of him convincingly and left laying there. When everything Cody usually does is so... Brock has gotten a ton of heat on him. I don't know why that he had to leave him face first the week before the goddamn show instead of would this not have been the time traditionally that most bookers would have given the people a little hope that the babyface is going to slay the dragon?
I personally think you needed a fired up promo from at least Cody before the event. You needed something from Brock, so you'd want to see him get his ass kicked, and maybe you think it could possibly happen. I also have a problem the week of the event doing the arm again. How many times is this train killer going to destroy this guy's arm before the match? Like, if it happens one time a month out, it makes some sense. Okay, will he be ready? It happened then it happened again, now it happened now. 3 times.
And that's the thing, is that at this point, it's, the week from the big match, and we've said that we believe that Cody needs to more decisively win this thing than what he did before, because it's the rubber match. But at the same time, how believable have we gotten when Brock continues to just beat the shit out of him and try to break the arm and hit the arm with sledgehammers and jackhammers and whatever. I think a promo, like you said, a promo from Cody would have, if I wasn't already going to buy the thing or watch the thing, a promo from Cody as well as a promo from Brock would have done more than for me to see Brock just beat the piss out of him again.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing I was waiting for was the 5-minute match between Gunther and Gable. And have you looked up Williams yet?
No, I have not. Williams?
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Last did not remember the famous, the infamous, the wonderfully historic Gunther Gable Williams.
That's right. This is a correct statement. I did not know who that was.
And I can't believe now you haven't looked him up to fucking...
You told me who it was. You answered my question. Who is that?
He is when I was a kid, the great animal trainer. He trained the lions and the tigers and the bears. Oh my. He was at the circus. He was he was in all the commercials. Gunther Gable Williams. He was even on other television.
Sorry, I don't know the animal trainers from the 1930s. Next time I'll study up on them. Famous animal trainers. Oh,
I said television, not radio.
I meant 40s.
All right.
Late 40s.
Anyway, so Gunther is brilliant. We've established that. And now I will call Shoosh Boy Chad Gable, because apparently now they have somehow decided that they're going to give this guy another chance to actually do something instead of be the biggest joke in the company. He's a great athlete. He's the one that had the matches in NXT with FTR, with him and Jordan.
American Alpha.
Yes. But unfortunately, I don't know whether he pissed in Vince's post toasties or what he did to deserve what he's had to do, but they've made him meaningless. And this is, who knows is this a chance to rehabilitate him, or is this just something they're going to do for 1 week? I don't know. But anyway, apparently the people are getting to like him because they feel sorry for him or something. Because I don't know why they would be liking what's been presented, but is it a sympathy thing for this guy who deserves better? Kind of, maybe LA Knight got some sympathy for having to be Max Dupree, which was the only thing that was maybe worse than this.
I think somehow where we were focusing on all the stuff that was semi-serious, or in Cody's case, serious stuff, the comedy stuff got over with their fans. Because that's all it was. They were doing the comedy segment every show and the comedy feud. And somehow it turned into the fans getting behind them.
Well, in whatever reason, hopefully this is the start of something better and no more shooshes. I don't know. But Gable's great as an athlete. And Gunther is perfect, as we've said, at working with anybody of any different size, and selling or reacting appropriately, registering whatever. And Gunther was controlling this for the first 2.5 minutes, right? Out of the 5, because he's bigger and he's stronger. And they were doing nice wrestling. Gable has a great bridge, right? Wrestler's bridge. And then he started having Gable fight back from underneath a bit. Gable sold great. And then finally Gunther goes for the powerbomb with a little over a minute left, and Gable rolled out of it and got the ankle lock, and then started a little comeback. But he got caught in a fucking sleeper, and they've got 20 seconds left, so they're timing this perfectly. And then Gable is fading, but at 10 seconds, Gunther switches around, goes for the power bomb, but Gable fights out, and both of them take the bump over the top rope, and Gable slides in, the time runs out, and Gable wins the thing. Which he won, but obviously didn't beat Gunther. Didn't pin him, but he won the thing.
He lasted the 5 minutes.
Exactly.
And the place went crazy.
Because that was obviously not what Gunther had wanted, and pomposity has gotten the piss taken out of it.
If we could stop for 1 second, between the backstage promo and beyond the match, the time in between the match and the restart, Gunther, his facial reactions, his tone on the mic, we always talk about him in the ring, but he's nailing everything else.
Yeah, he is who he is purported to be. He understands how to project that. And, you can't really find any point in a match where he doesn't have the right expression on his face, or he's not registering what's happening the right way. And that's what Gunther, now he wanted more time. And, I think they restarted it a little easily, a little quickly, in terms of, without some type of, conversation amongst everybody at ringside, like, what do we do? What do we do? But otherwise, they restart the thing, and then they go to the break, and I'm like, fuck, I want to see this. Don't go to the fucking break. But anyway, that's obviously the feeling that they want people to have, but it would be wonderful if they let something actually fucking register when this guy's getting over. But he's still getting over. He's getting over with the people in the building. Anyway, when they come back, again, Gable's still fighting from underneath, but every time Gunther will hit one of those fucking chops, they're bam. But then Gable, when he'd have an opportunity, started working on Gunther's arm. Maybe, try to get a fucking submission. And they did a nice superplex off the top that he gave Gunther, and both of them sold. And then there was Germans going on. Gable, I think he did 2 of them, but one of them, he picked Gunther up and just bridged him over. It was tremendous. Several 2 counts, back and forth. And then Gunther finally just leveled him with about 3 chops and hit the powerbomb 1, 2, 3. So obviously that was what they had to do. They're trying to make Gable, but they can't go insane and beat Gunther. And they got to protect that powerbomb. But it shows what Gable can do, and I don't what the fuck, have they just now figured this out? Is it too late?
I don't think it's too late. If they continue in this tone next week and the week after, if Otis all of a sudden starts slowly dropping the comedy elements that are over the top, he's another guy with legit credentials. These guys go back. Then it's not crazy, and it would be nice to see him get a chance here. If you're WWE and you're booking next week's show, what does Gable come out and do? What does he say about it? Is it, because it's not I beat you within 10 minutes or something. It's I lasted 5 minutes, but then you beat me. So what exactly does he say in terms of wanting a rematch because he showed he could last the 5, but not the 10? I mean, what do you say?
Well, first of all, I think we're done with the shoosh, at least in terms of being used to antagonize the audience, because now that they're taking to them somewhat, they want him to be, the fans to like him and to be a babyface. He might come out sometime and say shoosh to the fucking heels, and then it'll get a big pop. But he's got to come out and say, hey, Gunther's acting like he won, or he proved his point. I proved my point. He said that he couldn't, or that I couldn't last 5 minutes with him, and I said I could, and I did that. I didn't say I could beat him. I didn't even say he couldn't beat me. I mean, that frame it that way. But at the same time, that's when if you wanted to continue it, then that maybe that's why they're building Kaiser Wilhelm up. Because all right, well then you say, well look at here, if you can beat or if you can last 10 minutes with Kaiser Wilhelm, then I'll give you another chance to blah blah or something and continue it that way so you're not just doing it every week. But yeah, Gable has to come out and crow about it.
Then you have the heel shush him and he slaps the heel.
There you go. And then they have a stipulation where the loser has to sit down and watch Model Girl wrestle.
You know what the problem too is? You just presented a scenario. I'm thinking of scenarios. It seems like based on what they did on Raw, WWE would think there was more in the tank for this whole thing. I'm interested to see where this will go. I'm not interested in Gunther and Drew McIntyre. Isn't that the match at SummerSlam?
Yeah, and you know what? Even the fans on Twitter, since we've mentioned that, they can't really figure out what's the matter with Drew either. Just been around and nothing new. Oh, well. At this point, there was 50 minutes left into the show. We'd already been past 2 hours to get to that point, and I remembered I had to rub Harley's belly. Did I miss anything else? Was there anything of note?
I wouldn't say anything of note other than I thought the Becky Lynch confrontation with Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark leading to Pierce having a thing backstage with Trish and Zoe. I thought that was good, but I've liked that a little bit more than you in terms of the actual feud.
Well, as a matter of fact, come to think of, I was zipping past a little bit of that. I thought I was actually watching MeTV and an old episode of Petticoat Junction.
Come on. The color is much better on this show.
No, the color was better back in the 60s. It was all pastels. Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares. It is time to relax at the junction. Lots of girls, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction. Petticoat Junction.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought about when I saw Pierce and Trish and Zoe. I thought about Petticoat Junction.
Well, Adam Pierce looks a little bit like Uncle Joe, who's a moving kind of slow at the junction.
All right. Well, I thought that was a good segment, and you didn't watch the main event, and I kind of didn't care for it either. So that was Raw.
There you go.
That was a very Raw.